I feel like these days, if you're making a list of horror movie recommendations, it's pretty much mandatory that you put at least one found footage film on this list, and to me, no film in recent history has taken on this subgenre better than Wreck. This is a movie about a news reporter who is tagging along with a group of firefighters for a story when they are called to an apartment complex to investigate a disturbance, only to find themselves then trapped inside. Realizing a story is there, her and her cameraman decide to keep filming, which automatically puts it leaps and bounds above most found footage films. You know how when you're watching a found footage film, you ask yourself, why are they still holding the camera? Who would be filming in a situation like this? I'll tell you who, a journalist who is out there to find the truth. It makes perfect sense for her to film all of this. But suddenly people in the apartment start getting killed off in gruesome ways, and they learn that the person they were called there to help is beyond any kind of help anyone other than a priest could provide. That's right, they're infected with a virus that's turning them into, well, I'd call them zombies, but towards the end of the film you begin to realize there's something much more. And they don't go into it in much detail in this film, but in the second film, they expand upon it, and they take this particular type of monster in a great new direction I hadn't seen before. The rest of the film is one of the best zombie being in quotation mark, movies I've ever seen. The creatures are disturbing. You get to know each character in the apartment just enough so that you get an attachment to them, and when it ends, it is a stunningly chilling sequence to go out on. Plus, I've always said that one of my biggest problems with horror films is that they try to make the protagonist unlikable so that way you don't care if they get killed, which to me eliminates the entire purpose of a horror film. But in this film, you are really rooting for this reporter. You know she is out there to find the truth, and you, as the viewer, want to know the truth as well. This is one of the most effective found footage films I've ever seen because since you're following the camera, you only know what our heroes know, and as the story goes on, you'll see little hints of the bigger mystery behind all this, and it has you on the edge of your seat asking where will it go, who knows what, and what will happen in the end. And as I said, the ending to this film is stunning, and part of that is because throughout this film you start to grasp where this story is going, but then they throw the kitchen sink at you at the end. You had no idea it was going to get that demented, and a lot of that tension comes from the apartment itself. I mean, this is a modern apartment complex. I've lived in several just like it throughout my life, but when it gets dark and you start hearing things up the stairs moving around, you realize it's just as dangerous as any old haunted house you could come across. In fact, when I saw this film for the first time, I was living in an apartment just like this one, and after that, I could never look at our staircase the same way again. And if you saw the American remake Quarantine and you're wondering how does it compare, they're pretty similar, I have to admit that, but I think this one has slightly better acting, and the cinematography and the atmosphere just feel that much more powerful. And the ending, again, it's pretty similar, but the original has just a slightly different twist to it, and that slight change is so much better, really gets your mind racing, and it leads into the sequel brilliantly. And speaking of the sequel, Wreck 2 is amazing, although I would skip all the ones that came after that. But you have to see Wreck 2 after watching this. It continues the story into great new directions with wonderful twists and turns that I do not want to spoil for you here. You have to see it for yourself. But alright, that's it for another scary movie recommendation. I've got 4 more on the way, so stay tuned, and remember to follow us on Twitter and Tumblr at Professor Thorgy, and hit that subscribe button for more spooky goodness the rest of the week. Thanks for watching, everyone, and happy Halloween.